So he says that there was a neighbor of Imam Ahmad bin Hambal, his neighbor, his mother, who was also neighbor of Imam Ahmad bin Hambal, was seriously ill for the last 20 years. And she was paralyzed for the last 20 years on her bed. She couldn't move for the last 20 years in her house. فَقَالَتْ لِي يَوْمًا, her son says, one day she said to me, اِذْهَبْ إِلَىٰ أَحْمَدْ ibn Hambal فَاسْأَلْهُ أَنْ يَدْعُ. Go and ask him so that he may pray for me. This occurred to their mind that day. 20 years already had passed. This occurred to him. Go and ask him for dua. So he says, I came to Sayyidina Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal's house and I knocked the door, and he was already standing just next to door. He was about to come out. When I knocked the door, then he stood there. He didn't open the door. He asked, Man haza, who is there? فَقُلْتُ أَنَا رَجُلٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ ذَاكَ الْجَانِبِ. I am your next door neighbor. I have come from your next door, your neighbor. سَأَلَتْنِي أُمِّي وَهِيَ زَمِنَةٌ مُقَدَةٌ أَنْ أَسْأَلَكَ أَنْ تَدْعُوَ لَهَا. I have come, my mother is on her bed, paralyzed for the last 20 years. I have come here to request you to make dua for her. Now you see how was the character, integrity of the character and their piety, that they used to hide their virtues and miracles. When he heard that our next door neighbor has come after 20 years for dua, it means they have known something now. They have come to know about something. Sayyidina Ahmad bin Hambal, when he heard this thing, فَسَمِعْتُ كَلَامَهُ كَلَامَ رَجُلٍ مُخْضَبٍ. So he replied in a very angry way, Sayyidina Ahmad bin Hambal, in a very loud and crude voice, in an angry way. He said, we ourselves are in fact in need of asking you and all people for dua to Almighty Allah. Why you have come to us for dua? We need your dua. And he said this thing in a very angry way, in a loud voice, so that he may go back. He got disappointed. He went back. So that he didn't want him to have this faith in me that my mother will get better with his dua. He didn't want to disclose the spiritual reality on him. He wanted to be hidden. That's why he replied in anger with a loud and crude voice. And the same thing happened. He went back. He said, we ourselves are in need of duas. What kind of dua I could make for you? When he went back, all of a sudden he sat down and prayed and invoked supplication to Almighty Allah. Oh Almighty Allah, give that lady shifa. Sent him back and then prayed for her. When he prayed for her, a housemaid, a lady, went out to see what has happened, because that man went back, the neighbor went back with the loud voice. She went out and he was knocking the door, his own door, the neighbor, and that lady saw that after this dua, his mother, who was paralyzed for the last 20 years, himself got up from her bed and opened the door. Got up from her bed and opened the door after 20 years. The person came back running to know what happened, because he didn't make dua for him. And the lady housemaid was standing there. She said, soon after when you went back, after hearing his voice, he sat down on the prayer mat and prayed for you. And he was still raising his hands and praying. During his prayer, Almighty Allah returned the health back to that lady.